Welcome to another edition of Bison Break. I'm your host, Brendan Whitty. Really excited to be here with the senior manager for social content for Anscape, Marcus Mathews. Thank you for making time, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Always willing to, help another Bison brother out, and talk about my Bison experience or my professional experience. So, I'm always gonna, make time for that.
Well, I mean, and that's what we're here for. That's what Bison Express is for. We're a fundraising arm for the Howard Athletic sports programs. And so I always want to highlight people that are working, especially within media, to show like the education that they got at Howard and how that's kind of helped shape things. But before we get into all that, this is Bison Break. So we like to drop the curtain a little bit before we get into all the more sports and specific stuff. We like to get to know a little bit more about you. So we rock it out a little bit. So like, all right. So first question: if you have you're in the boxing, you're finna go to the boxing ring. It's a big fight. This is your big fight. This is your big title fight. You walking into the ring. Who is walking with you and performing while you walking up into the ring?
Gotta say, Jada Kiss, the champ, is here.
Ooh.
That just goes hard. You can't lose with that. And the drums, you can't go wrong with that.
That is the perfect. You know what I mean? Like when I was coming up with this, I ran through stuff for myself. I was like, I don't know what I would pick, and so like that might be the perfect answer to that question. So that's solid. All right. So you're this is a two-parter.
Okay.
Right? So you're playing. I don't know if you play golf or not, but you're playing golf.
I try. Can't say I'm that good at it.
And that's all anyone can ask. Honestly, that's all anyone can ask. Okay, so you playing golf. Give me your foursome. Who are the other three folks that you trying to play with for these 18?
Oh, I mean, do they have to be tied to golf or just kind of just like
historical? No, not definitely not tied to golf. This is just folks that you just trying to walk around with for a little bit.
I'll say Tiger, probably Magic Johnson. I'll say Barack Obama. Who would be the fourth? Mike Tyson. Whoa. Now that collection of people, that's going to be quite an enjoyable. That's going to be quite an enjoyable golfing experience. So you got all different areas. Yeah, that's going to be some definitely some worthy chatter going on.
In no way, shape, or you could have sat me in this room for a year and just be like, hey, Brendan, start naming people. Mike Tyson would have never been the fourth person that I came up with for that group. Hey. Not a chance.
But that's why you got to have somebody like that to kind of shake things up and keep people, on their toes. So
if you get that squad together, please just let me. I just want to film it. I just want to see Barack Obama and Mike Tyson kicking it. I just want to see that.
If I'm able to do that, I'm set for life. Let's just say that.
Okay. So in a related question, I don't know if you play spades.
Thorough spades player.
Okay. So who's your partner that you're picking? Like it could be your a personal person that you know. It can be a famous person, whatever. Who's the person that you want to like? You trying to go to the table?
Oh man. Who can I play with? I would probably say Jamel Hill. Because she thoroughly takes spades and Uno to like heart, like it's like to the death. And I know like if she's my partner, I know she's quick thinking on her feet. She's looking at the bigger picture. I don't think we will butt heads too much. I think if I have only hold one or two spades in my whole hand, I think she carry.
She gonna carry.
I'm gonna say Jamel Hill.
Okay, that's real. Okay, all right. Final question. You've gotten to work with a ton of people in sports and entertainment over the course of your career so far. If I gave you your own late night talk show, interview show, who's your first guest?
Wow.
It's hard hitting over at Bison Break, man. It's hard hitting over here, bro.
That's a hard one because, I've been in this game for over 20 some odd years, and I kind of value more so the experiences than the actual people. If I had a guess and, they would still, I guess is it living or dead or?
Living or dead. I'm gonna just rock out.
I had to go with Kobe. I had to go with Kobe.
That's real. It's funny because I wasn't a Kobe fan while he was playing because he got compared to Jordan, which is
Right.
my favorite player.
I've been a Kobe guy from day one because I'm a Laker fan, and
Okay.
just the ages that we kind of like, me growing up and then him, like, his ascension from high school to the pros and stuff like that, and being that similar in age, that kind of like, it's like we grew up with him and going through all that, whatever, or at least as a fan.
Yeah.
So I would probably say Kobe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you talked a little bit about growing up. You're from Maryland, correct?
Yeah, I'm from PG County, Maryland, Glenard and the Landover area.
Okay.
Went to high school at the Mathews High School, and of course went to Howard after that.
What made you decide on Howard?
Well, the easy choice was that, like, legacy, because like my mom, she worked at Howard Hospital for 40 some odd years. My father was a alumnus of the dental school. So like growing up, it was like always Howard. And but then like when I was like in high school and going through the process of visiting various schools, I was leaning toward Hampton, but because Hampton had offered me a partial football scholarship, but I ended up going to Howard because because my mom worked at the university, I had remission tuition, so it was a free ride. So easy, pretty easy decision. And I'm glad I made that decision because I would do it all over again if I had the chance. I thoroughly enjoyed my Howard experience, and anybody else thinking, just try to talk them into doing the same. But yeah, I would definitely do it all over again.
So you graduated broadcast journalism degree with a
Correct.
Sports administration special or minor in that.
Right.
What was your dream job when you were coming out of college?
So when I was in school, like ESPN has always been like that dream place I wanted to be. And like at that time, like Stuart Scott was like the guy, so it's like watching him, like, and it's like a habit that I formed like when I was, a freshman at Howard, just like waking up in the morning watching ESPN, going to sleep at night watching ESPN in the Sports Center. And so it's like, and Stuart Scott was like, he was kind of like, he created his own lane, which kind of interjecting the culture into the highlights and stuff like that. And that just kind of blew me away. And I always like, well, if I can't play sports, I want to be a part still attached to sports. And that's why I kind of went to the communications sort of journalism lane. And so like, I was just basically trying to be the next Stuart Scott. And that kind of really kind of like locked it in for me.
It's crazy how much he's meant to like Black people of a certain age who just.
And also, I'd be remiss not mentioning Gus Johnson as well. So Gus Johnson was definitely huge. Another Howard guy that I really like followed. And I'm not sure if you know Ed Hill, like the former SID at Howard, who's kind of a legend on campus and in the sports administration space and kind of SIDs all across the board. And he kind of always was talking up Gus Johnson and then other Bison who had done it not just on the sports but in the news and other areas. And so I kind of really felt like I was in a good space to kind of really walk that path.
Talk to me about how you feel like Howard prepared you for jumping into the career that you had and the success that you've had in terms of what you learned while there.
Yeah, I think how Howard prepared me was to be able to just juggle many different things and succeed in the majority of areas that you are dealing with at the same time. So like did I party? Yeah, what I'm saying. I was going to parties on the weekdays, weekends, and coming in like 2 or 3, and then being up at 8 o'clock in the morning for a class.
Right.
So it's like I kind of knew like, okay, you can study hard, you can do your work, but you can also find time and have that balance to be able to have a good time, enjoy life, enjoy whatever else that gives you fulfillment, and still do what you got to do. And then also like at Howard, like most places you go, you might just focus on one thing. So, but at Howard, it's like I wrote for the student newspaper. I hosted a radio show on WHBC. I broadcast all the women's and men's basketball games. I broadcasted the football games. So it allowed me to have a greater and more diverse skill set. And I started to see like once I got into my profession, once I became a professional, when I was at various places, that I had a lot more to bring to the table than some of my other counterparts did. And that was because at Howard, you kind of have to juggle so many things. Like you don't have you know what, like I'm sure like at Maryland, there's probably like a plethora of people trying to be the next whatever. But I mean, in Howard, it's a little more scaled down, but that gives you more opportunity. And I saw different opportunities that weren't being fulfilled in other areas, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do this. I wanted to be able to acquire as many tools, in my belt for when I walked out of the door to make myself more marketable. And Howard gives that opportunity across the board if you want to take it.
Well, let's talk about one of those opportunities that you seized. That you were at BT in the sports department as a writer, associate producer for I believe 4 years. Talk to me a little bit about working there and some of the things that you learned while you were there.
Yeah, it's like I joined BT after leaving USA Today, and the reason I ended up at BT was because of Ed Hill. Ed Hill was close with the sports director and I think like the executive producer there, and they knew they were looking for somebody. It really was looking for a PA, and Ed was connected with them because BET used to do like all the Black College classics, and so I applied for it. I was looking to kind of change to get more back into producing and the TV side of things, and talk to Ed. Send my resume into BET, and BET. Oh, you went to Howard? Oh, let me see if you know Ed. Call Ed up. Ed told him what was what. Next thing you know, I'm coming in, and then he was like, "Well, you are a little overqualified, for the PA position, but you never know once you get in." And then basically, I got in and just kind of just quickly advanced, just because of my skill set, and went from like being a PA to an AP to writing for shows to being a segment producer for sidelines, and I mean being a segment producer for the Black College football games and the sideline producer, and then just being a writer and a producer for Mad Sports, and then some of that their specialty shows around like music and jazz and stuff like that or whatever. So just just being able to like just take those tools that a lot of other people didn't have, or having those additional tools to be able to catapult myself up.
Now, one of those positions was at Mad Sports. You were there and you covered the finals, NCAA tournament, covered Super Bowl, McDonald's All-American game. Out of all the like kind of bigger sports moments that you covered, do you have a favorite?
I mean, I have a couple. I don't know if I have the favorite. I know like one time we went to New Orleans, the Super Bowl, where I think it was the one where forgive me, I've been in a lot of Super Bowls, so all of them kind of running. I'm not. I ain't even speaking like that. But basically, I believe it was like the Rams and Patriots Super Bowl. Okay. And we were able to hang out, at the Cash Money House with Baby and Slim and all them, and produce a lot of content around. Like Dante Culpepper was like a huge guy that was like tight with Cash Money, and so we produced a lot of content at their house around, just because at BET, like we covered the games so what, but it was like more so the atmosphere and everything, the culture around the game. So that was a cool experience. I'm just trying to think what else. Also just like being at all the Black College football games, classics, because like, at Howard, I was just used to all the Howard games I've been to, but just to see kind of how the different campuses and homecomings, are different, but just to kind of get that variety, that kind of really stood out to me. BET Award weekends were amazing because you kind of see who's who, in the industry at that time. And I remember meeting T.I. T.I. was just like one of the coolest people I've ever met. Like, and he came up and introduced himself to me and just started rapping. And I was like, I'm just nobody, I ain't no artist or entertainer like that. Right. But those kind of interactions really stood out. But and then like we were able to go to the Virgin Islands with Tim Duncan, and they celebrated him like after one of his championships, and that was really a cool experience. But the thing that I really saw that really kind of stood out to me was like when we were at BET, like everyone who worked together was really it was a real family atmosphere. And then when we went out to cover people, everyone treated us like we was a part of the family, already. And they didn't know us or anybody. But then at the end of that trip, it's like we like some of the people I still talk to this day, which is crazy.
Now you made the transition from BET to ESPN, and you were working on a lot of social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube. So you've had the opportunity to see kind of social media really grow, particularly for this in the sports realm. What do you think about, I guess, from when you started to where it is now?
I mean, the crazy part about it, like when I talk to a lot of students, it's just that like I was in school, it was no such thing as social media, you know. But it's like I always kept my hands into just like what was going on, what was kind of big from a communication standpoint, you know, with the culture, whatever. And so, like originally when I left BET and went to ESPN, I was on the TV side working for a lot of the linear shows, Sports Center. I was on the NBA studio shows for a number of seasons. And then I moved to First Take. So a lot of people may not remember, but First Take used to be kind of Good Morning America-ish, like variety, like kind of feel-good sports show. A lot of segments and stuff like that. So I became the second producer for the show. And then I want to say maybe 2012 is when social really started to pop off, like across the board. And so, you know, like businesses and brands were like wondering, like, how can we interject our brand in social, because that's where everybody is really hanging out and engaging with one another. And so I was already doing it, like from a personal standpoint with a Facebook page, Twitter. And then, so, you know, they were looking for people to start a social integration team to find out ways to integrate social into the various TV shows and different social devices, and how to use content from social to kind of drive segments. And I was a part of one of the original teams that ESPN created. And because I was doing it from a personal standpoint, I kind of knew like how to really navigate, you know, the platforms, and a lot of people really didn't know how to do that. And then it's still some learning curves you have to go through when you're doing social for a brand. But it's just, if you're already doing it, it's a lot easier to kind of pivot. And so like I became like the main social producer for First Take. And mainly tasked with growing the audience of the show when the show wasn't on air. So that's kind of just like reading the audience's reactions to different segments while the show was going on, like looking at the show and picking out like what parts of the show would resonate the best in social, helping to kind of grow not only the show, but grow the talent. So I used to produce content for Stephen A's social. I used to manage Stephen A's social platforms, Curry Champions, helping Molly, you know, kind of get, you know, up to speed, and working with Skip and all like that. So that was really kind of like what my task was. And at the time, the show grew from that variety show to a debate show.
Yeah.
And then Stephen A became full-time, and the show just blew up.
Because was it cold pizza back then? Like, was it
cold? It was cold pizza.
Yeah.
Then First Take, and then we just became First Take debate. And then so like as the ascension of the show and everything, and the show evolved, it just I was there. You know, I mean, I definitely feel like I played a part, but you know, timing helps too. And I felt like, you know, I was in the right place, and then like the show grew up from it. We started doing road shows, and that was amazing to be blown away to see the impact you have on like fans, and how crazy people are like hanging on like every word that Stephen A or Skip says, or then Max after him and stuff like that, or just, you know, being able to like see like other athletes come on the show, and you know, and then kind of how they kind of embrace the experience as well, because it's not an easy gig to do, you know what I'm saying? And once those lights are on, you got to convey your feelings and emotions and kind of project them like in an educated way. That's not something that everybody can do or whatever. So like just seeing all that process, and having the baby play a part of that, both like on the show when it was on air, and then off the show, and kind of all the behind the scenes and stuff was definitely a mind-blowing experience.
I think I realized how big the show was when I was just like, you know, hanging around with people talking about sports, and they were talking about Clutch Gene and stuff like stuff that was very specifically tailored towards the show. Is it hard to tap into what people will like, what will really set them on fire? Is it hard, like, you know, because that's a long show, and so social media is that big?
To be honest with you, not really, because it's like you come into the morning meeting, right? Have a blank board. You already know like what Skip's gonna be on fire about, what Stephen A is gonna be on fire about, or what Max is gonna be on fire about. And so really it's just kind of tailoring the conversation to make sure, you know, that there is a healthy debate on each end. So like, okay, I feel a certain way about this topic, you feel a certain way about topic, bam, okay, that's probably going to be a good one. And then like, okay, well, I don't feel as strongly with. So it's just kind of weeding out like what's going to be the strongest debate points and what people really want to talk about. So and then so I come in like, okay, well, you put this tweet out, people were saying this, and this, and this. You might want to go this angle, or this athlete was watching the show and said this. That has to be in the show. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of. I mean, so it's like it's never. I've never been in one meeting, and I was on the show for like damn near 4 or 5 years, and it's like it was never we didn't have enough to talk about. It was always like, we don't got time for that. We don't got time for that. We don't got time for that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So and it's because it's like it's also a show that it's like it's always a right and wrong based on opinion. But then it's also but sometimes some people still agree a little bit here, agree a little bit there. So it's always a little different talking points. And then like I said, like when social media really kind of blew up and people like and athletes, especially newsmakers, are able to adjust and react to your show and your content in real time. And like sometimes we would get it live during the show, or if it came after the show we didn't see it, then we get that's content for the next day. Right. So it just adds more and more layers to your cake.
Does it ever get tiring as a person that runs social? Like, do you feel like you need to take a step back from your own personal social or anything like that, where it's like I've been interacting and trying to figure out all this kind of trends and stuff like that? Is that get tiring from just a personal point of view?
I mean, when you're a content creator or when you're like a manager, overseer of different brand platforms, it definitely affects your person. Because like you are like, because to be honest, social is like a 24/7 beast.
Right.
So it's like you kind of are always on for the most part. And then so if you're always on and you're managing or you're in charge or head of a brand or a unit, it's like you're like the thinking like ways that your brand can interject in it. But your personal social does suffer. I would definitely say that, because then like if you are engaging with your personal, it's not, you're probably a little bit tired. You aren't thinking the most like, but you just have to find ways to kind of step away and kind of get a break, even from like managing like the brand and stuff like that. So like even though you're always going, you still got to find ways to like mentally like detach yourself, because if not, especially like over the last couple of years with COVID. And then like, the summer of George Floyd and all like that, you have to like kind of just be able to like separate yourself from the mix for the most part.
I mentioned that you're at Anscape. It was formerly the Undefeated. Talk to me a little bit about that changeover and what the difference is, and how that's affected you as running the social for as senior manager.
Yeah. So basically in March we had to kind of rebrand and name change from the Undefeated, which we were pretty much based at the intersection of sports, race, and culture, to Anscape, which is more so kind of like we're still a Black-led media platform, but more so dedicated to creating, highlighting, and uplifting diverse stories of the Black identity, and mainly kind of geared toward focusing more so on the Black Gen Z and millennial consumer. So I mean, it's we still do sports. Sports is just not the main thing that we do for the most part. So being able to expand in other areas, whether that be like music, HBCU life, like both on the field and off the field, is still heavily a part, of our calling card. Like music, like we're establishing more of our footprint with Disney Music, and we'll be producing more EPs, more albums. Establishing a publishing house, maybe to put out books now under the Anscape level. And in the near future, we'll have Anscape Studios with a couple of scripted and non-scripted shows coming out under our belt. So it's basically the name change is allowing us to be in more areas, and then also it's like we kind of had to do it from a branding standpoint, because the Undefeated we own the editorial rights to it, but that's it. So we couldn't really do any lot of merchandising or expansion under that name. As you know, there is a streetwear brand called Undefeated. So we kind of had to kind of rebrand and kind of be able to do what's best to be able to expand in other areas that we want to be in, under ESPN and the broader Disney umbrella for the most part.
if people want to follow you on social media on Twitter, it's make sure I'm getting this right. Gucciavelli. That's
Gucci belly, like Tupac and Machiavelli. It's just Gooch plus a belly. So those are all my socials on every handle. Please give the Anscape platform a follow. It's at Anscape, ANDSCAPE on IG. On TikTok, it's Anscape Official, but on Twitter and everything else is just Anscape. So yeah, definitely give us a follow. Tell your friends, because we're all about kind of like uplifting Black content, Black culture, and then being able to be a platform where a lot of others don't give us, our people, that opportunity. And so you'll see a lot of that, on our platform and stuff like that.
Really excited to hear. I didn't know about all the different things you guys got coming down the pipe. It's really dope that it's expanding and it's going to bring in more of our people. And it's dope that we're talking about here on Bison Express. As always, guys, bisonexpress.org/give. We have a special project going, trying to get vans, more vans for the athletic programs to get to and from their competitions. Please go give to that. Any little bit helps. The more you give, the more you get. Thank you so much, Marcus, for making time for us. I look forward to the different things that are going to come up in Anscape.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you. Go Bison, man.